Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Jdog from Jdogs DVD Dungeon here, bringing you something a little different. This is actually a video response to a thread on the Canadian ferox message board, like the Andy 6 Waltman 6 on YouTube or Dream Warrior on the Canadian ferox message board. He posted a thread, VHS memories it was, so like talking about your memories of VHS as a kid and what made them great and stuff. And well, for me to type on that thread, but it just took way too fucking long, so I have way too many memories, so I just decided to do a video, so here it goes. Like, the mom and pop stores, I had such a big part of the J-Dog's life. Like, I remember back in the town I lived in, there was like 3 little VHS stores that I started renting at when I was probably about 5. Like, the place we bought our first VCR, we got 20 free movie rentals, and it was a furniture store, and they had all kinds of great horror films. Like, a lot of these films I own now in my collection, these same very films, like from the Battleford furniture, like my Nightmare and Damaged Brain, and a couple other of my classics came from there. There was a Video Express, Battleford Video. That was the town I was from, was Battleford, so yeah, all kinds of good stuff. Like, I remember seeing like the Dario Argento's Deep Red, the cover that had the doll and the hatchet on it, that used to scare the shit out of me. A lot of the big boxes, like I got a nice stack beside me that I'm going to show you some of the classic artwork that used to creep me out when I was a kid. But I just remember like my mom and my dad taking me down there, letting me run free. I'd be in there for hours if they let me. Like, I'd even try creeping around, peeking around the corner into the porno section. What are you gonna do? I was just a young sleazeball at the time. But like, they used to let me rent a couple movies. Back then, movies were expensive to rent too. Like, they were like $5-6 for a rental. So that was the '80s. That was big dollar. And we used to rent stuff. Like, I remember one night at my grandma's, we rented all the Friday the 13th movies. I guess the first 4, because there was only 4 out at the time. We watched those as a family. Used to get stuff like, I used to rent shit like Blood Beach all the time, Razorback. I really thought that was cool when I was a kid. All kinds of slashers. Like, it was just great times. Like, the young greasy J-Dog, he was just running wild with the VHS. So many fond memories. Like Andy says, a lot of the times you just pick the movies based on like the artwork. That's what I did. A lot of this stuff would just catch my eye, and I remember like the guys talking about the Faces of Death videos and some of the more greasy adult themed things in the horror section. Young J-Dog, he was the same way. He'd always look at him like, that looks pretty interesting and stuff, and once in a while I'd venture to pick it up and look on the back, and you'd see some freaky shit. And I know I was never allowed to rent those movies and stuff when I was a kid, probably with good reason, and I don't really have much interest in them now as an adult. But anyway, like some of these are the exact same tapes I used to scope as a kid all the time, like this, like Warner Brothers Clamshell, The Creep Show. Like, awesome artwork that used to creep the shit out of me. They don't make them like this anymore, guys. Like this Razorback here, like I was saying, I really liked this movie when I was a kid. Like what young lad wouldn't be intrigued by that artwork? Like, it's pretty badass. Or other, like this big box always intrigued me for some reason. This Planet Video of Blood Tide. This was at the local store back home too. I got all these for like $1 each too, and the guy, he had like 11 stores and closed them down. I know a lot of you have seen some of these VHS tapes and heard these stories before, but whatever, sit, listen again. This is my response to VHS memories. Yeah, this one, like, always caught my eye. I remember seeing this in there all the time. Like, that's pretty greasy, this Paragon and Body Shop. Like, you got a dismembered woman on there. Like, I'm walking past, this used to creep me out. This one, like, I almost had nightmares of that mannequin-looking woman all chopped up. Yeah, sleazy stuff. I'm just proud as a peach to own these in my collection now, though. The media copy of Nightmare on Elm Street I used to rent. This is the same copy that traumatized my sister on her, I believe it was her 4th birthday, when my cousin came over and we made them watch this instead of My Little Pony. So yeah, this is the exact same one that traumatized her. I always thought this was a cool one when I was a kid too, at the store. Got the skeleton gunslinger from Ghost Town. Cheesy, shitty movie, but very cool VHS cover art nonetheless. This is the same copy of Day of the Dead that my dad rented for me one day after probably renting it 10 times, getting sick of it. He just got another VCR over and dubbed me some tapes. Day of the Dead, and this HBO canon of Dawn of the Dead. This one, I don't know how many times I rented this as a kid. Always suckered old Pa into renting this one for me. This is the crown jewel, one of them in my collection. Like, I hold this one very dear. This has a lot of fond memories, this. This is another one that always intrigued me when I was young. Thought it was a pretty cool looking cover. The Vestron of Blue Sunshine. This is another one. This is not shot on video movie, not very good, but young Jdog always thought that was nice and sleazy. Some cool art for video murders. You got the guy reaching through the screen, choking a prostitute or whatever. There's no rehearsal. Video murders. VHS memories. Good times. Oh, who couldn't remember this one when they were a kid? Like Spring Break, aka The Mutilator. Some of the greatest VHS cover art of all time. By Sword, by Pick, by Axe, by. This is a favorite on the Canadian Ferox. We covered this in the VHS vault, and I love this VHS. This isn't the same one I used to see when I was a kid, though. I picked this one up of Rick of the Dead because I missed the boat on some of these VHS when the guy sold out. This is another cool one that I always thought was pretty wicked when I was a kid. Embassy of Mausoleum. Some cool cover art. The David Hess directed slasher, the King of Rape himself. This old media to All a Good Night. This is another VHS cover art I really liked when I was a kid. I was probably the one that wore this out, so it doesn't talk anymore. This is the same Frankenhooker talking box that they had at my local video store that was a couple blocks away. I used to remember always pushing this when I was a kid and listening to her. You want a date? Well, I guess I wasn't really a kid. I was a preteen, young teen, I guess. Yeah, this one always intrigued me. Really happy to have this in my collection as well. Awesome. Canadian slasher greatness. Always loved this one. Always remember looking at this one in the VHS aisles in the horror section. We had a huge horror section at this one store, so it was great. I got all the classics from them. Slumber Party Massacre. Yeah, what's not to love for a couple of young boys wanting to rent that? Like, you got chicks in their bra and stuff. Might see some titties, guys. That's a lot of the times when we were young. Me and the guys get together and we'd rent these movies based on them. Are we going to see some titties? What's going on in them? Like, you got Fright Night, another classic cover art. The classic Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the Canon. You got the Breakfast Club stands. I remember always seeing there was a standee at the video store of this. They had a poster on the wall. A few copies of this. I'm lucky got one of them. This is another cool one. I always liked this one too. Terrible movie, but pretty cool cover art. Yeah, those are the ones I'm going to show. But yeah, so many great titles, so much great cover art. A lot of this was painted, like true art back in those days. You don't see a lot of all this Photoshop shit and stuff nowadays. It's just terrible. It's a disgrace to the people that rented back in like the glory days of movies. Like, sure, the quality might not have been as good on the VHS as it is on the DVD and Blu-ray, but goddamn, guys, at least we had fucking kick-ass cover art, and it was an experience, like these guys were saying in the thread on the Canadian Ferox message board. Like, it was a true experience to go rent movies. You just didn't go in and grab stuff. Like Andy referred to it as about as exciting as buying a pop out of a vending machine. And he pretty much hit the nail right on the head with that. Like, I don't know. Long live the glory days of VHS. I have so many fond memories. I just want to thank my family for letting me rent these, my grandma for taking me down to rent them, my uncle for letting me rent them. Lots of good stuff, man. VHS memories will never fade from this brain. Peace out.